Oh my god, you're in charge of the bunnies.
I know, I've got all the buttons. Hi, everyone. Welcome to our little D&D stream for today. This will be going for a little while.
Hello.
Joined with, I'm Stephen. I'll be your Dungeon Master for today. I'm joined by Callum, Kate, and Dan, and maybe someone else later on. We'll see how we go with timing.
Get stars, man.
Get
stars coming
Got
out.
all the big names. It's a Hemsworth. I'm not going to tell you which one. We've got a Hemsworth coming in.
It would have to be Mark, isn't it? Like, isn't that the older brother?
The fourth one.
Yeah, we've got like the second cousin of the Hemsworth. As I hide up in the corner.
Yeah.
As Dan squirrels his way away in the corner.
How come you do it in that?
Well, because I'll have the person sit next to me as well. So.
Oh, yeah, the guest.
It will have the Hemsworth come in and sit next
Does
to him.
everyone else know who this person is?
It's a Hemsworth.
Do you not know a Hemsworth?
Apparently not.
No? Okay.
Well,
That's going to be a big surprise. It's not a Hemsworth.
No, I didn't say.
I don't want to have too much of a freak out about it.
I don't know. How do you stop a dog from barking? I don't
Alright.
know that either. So.
All the big questions. Asking the big questions here on game start.
Well,
Start.
I haven't played very much D&D. This is more of a new experience for me. You played it a bit.
Yeah, I played a lot of Dungeons and Dragons. I would say, it really depends. It's sort of the question is, do we want to ask? Do we want to introduce ourselves and our characters?
I'll give the setting,
Yeah.
and then we'll take it from there.
Well,
Because I've got a
well,
little
people. All right.
Yeah.
Well, ordered.
flawless. This is fucking tight. So tight. Hey.
Open it out.
In the northwest of the Kingdom of the Stormlands, nestled at the base of the Ironstorm Mountains, lies the little town of Northernhold. Whitewater Keep watches over the town and across Sanctuary Harbour out to the Maelstrom Temples, home of the Storm Wardens, an order of religious and academic scholars found throughout all of the Kingdom of the Stormlands. This town is as old as the kingdom itself and plays host to the annual Moon Lily Festival, a week-long festival honouring the dead that concludes on the night of the winter solstice with the Ritual of Lights. The town sees an influx of travellers from all over the kingdom, entertainers and those wishing to participate in the ritual, which gives safe passage to the afterlife for those who may not have been able to find their way through the void. Key to the Ritual of Lights is the Moon Lily, an elusive flower that is only found in the Ironstorm Mountains and only blooms during the time of the festival. Where the flower used to be pursued by those who would use it for its necromantic properties, it is now hunted by burgeoning adventurers who look to find it and return to the town so the Ritual of Lights can take place and they can be crowned the Dawn Warden for the next year. This year, however, a cloud of worry hangs low over the town as preparations for the festival get underway. And more importantly, while preparations for the ritual start to begin. An alarming increase in the amount of kobold attacks outside of the city have the council very worried. Not only that they are occurring, but they are more coordinated and more deadly than they usually are. Furthermore, they seem to be focused more in the Ironstorm Mountains, home of the Moon Lily. Lord Elias Seabreaker and the head of his council, Crancy Omen, have stated that as it stands, the festival will go ahead as planned. And this is where we find ourselves at the start of our adventure. Can I please have everyone roll initiative?
Roll initiative.
11.
Oh shit.
13.
Natural 20.
Oh, yes,
20.
14.
11.
I felt a room full of buttholes pucker when I said that. For your introduction. Okay. You... I'll say on a nat 20 for the opening roll, you will get advantage on whatever your next roll is.
Yeah.
That's your kind of 20. It's huge. Huge. What a great start. Again, this is a fucking slight operation.
Yeah. You have an inspiration.
Oh.
Not inspiration. Inspiration you can use at any time. This is your very next immediate roll. You may have advantage.
Oh, wow.
So, would
Whatever I
you
happen to do.
like to introduce your character?
Cool. Yes. All right. So my name is Lilith, and I am a half elf rogue. My mother was an elf quite high up in their world over there, and my father was sort of a human, more peasant low-level man, very lovely. I have been living with him in a town nearby, but as he was human, I have recently lost him and travelled to this town. So I have long brown hair with like blue streaks running through it. I wear a mottled sort of camo grey sort of brown green cloak. I like to sort of fade into the shadows a bit if I can. My clothes are similar, coloured dark, with sort of long sleeve, dark black pants and boots. This is me.
You won't be able to see. That's way too far.
Way too far.
Yeah, it's yeah.
It's very cool though.
Mm-hmm.
Whoever painted it did a really good job.
Sorry.
It was Steve.
It was me.
Yeah, so I sort of like to fade a little bit into the shadows. I have some of my elven heritage come through, so my ears are pointy, my eyes are a gold colour.
Cool.
And I'm about 48, which is quite young in the elven world, but sort of getting older in the human world. So a bit of a mix of both worlds.
So kind of like the equivalent of like early 20s. Just if you were just a straight human,
Yeah.
you'd be feeling pretty good.
Ooh.
Terrific. We find Lilith travelling on her way to Northernhold to participate in the festival, to say goodbye to her father. While you're going there,
Yes.
and you're walking through the woods by yourself, which is something that you've done around your town
Mhm.
quite a bit. Never really this far from home normally. You're strolling through and you start to hear like a bit of like a skittering, and you hear like
Oh,
a
God.
clang of metal to each other, but it's kind of like off over a little hill, like behind
Mhm.
some trees.
Okay.
What would you like to do?
I would like to walk. I'm gonna sneak.
Mm-hmm.
Can I try and get a little bit closer so I can see, like, up the hill?
Yeah, absolutely. Give me a stealth check. So with advantage.
Can we
because-
have her stats brought up?
It cycles through.
Oh,
there we
sick.
go.
That's cool.
Yeah, every 10 seconds it cycles through each one of our stats.
14 plus.
721.
Oh, perfect.
Sorry,
You-
what?
Rogues, man. So
Sneaky bit.
you like start to make your way through like these like trees and like under a bit of a bush, and you see, as you come up, you see honestly what could only be described as like a small bloodbath.
Oh god.
There's two different opposing groups of kobolds, and they are attacking each other.
Okay.
Give me a perception check.
22.
Jesus. Okay. Well, so we know who the good roller is.
I'm using it all up right now when it's not super important.
So what you see, you notice that some of them appear to have nicer weapons than the others.
Mhm.
The ones that do have the nicer weapons, they have like the kind of pale turquoise war paint on,
Yeah.
and the ones that have kind of like weapons that you would expect a kobold to have, they have like a kind of this almost like leaf green, semi-neon green war paint on themselves. So they're fighting. You wouldn't happen to speak Draconic by any chance?
I do speak Draconic.
Fucking terrific. You hear them yelling at each other, and they're like, why the fuck would you work with them? And they're just like fucking going at each other. You see like one's like on the ground, like trying to pack its like duck back in, and as it's doing it, and like one goes to run past and it like grabs its little dagger and like stabs him in the back of the leg and stuff. Like these guys are like want blood. But you can see that they're arguing, and it's all around kind of like this thing of like who they are serving.
Okay. Sounds right.
and they're like,
Is there one
Why would you
that's particularly winning this battle? Is the knight?
it looks pretty even, and as you watch this, you see like a heartbreaking scene where it's like the last two are like
Oh my God.
slowly bludgeon each other to death, and then the one that's like left is like laying there, and he like you see he says like a little prayer in like some ancient draconic thing, and he just like kind of just bleeds out.
So
He's just-
all of them dead.
all of them are dead.
We're shooting.
Holy fuck.
So no survivors.
No survivors.
You've looked.
I'm
come over the
seeing
hill.
what's happening.
They didn't see you because
Yeah.
you're very sneaky.
Yes.
You've like pulled your cloak over. Total bloodbath. Two different warring factions of kobolds. They seem pretty pissed at each other for who their boss was, whoever the fuck that is. All of them are dead.
Can I slip down and sort of see if there's anything interesting lying around?
You absolutely can. Give me a perception or investigation check. You don't have to make a stealth check because there's literally no one to hide from. Everyone's dead.
I will do investigation 19.
Terrific. So you see the one with the pale turquoise war paint.
Yeah.
These are not kobold-made weapons.
Ooh.
Like the metal is much more refined. You would know from just kind of living in the area that kobolds can like make things and refashion things, and they may like fold metal or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
but they don't like smelt
Okay.
anything. So it's like the quality of the metalwork is so much higher. It's like someone gave these weapons to these kobolds.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You also find
Yeah.
on one of the kobolds with the pale turquoise paint, one has a small religious relic.
Okay.
You can either give me a history or a religion check.
Let's go with history. Right. 13.
13 total.
Mm-hmm.
You don't fully like recognize this because it's like a bit of a weird religious thing. But you would know on that check that this has something to do with the dragon. Like kobolds revere dragons as their god.
Can I take it?
Yeah, you can take it. Yeah, you loot this corpse.
Yes.
You can take this small religious item.
Yeah. I want it.
So you take it. Also looking at it, you get a sense that this isn't kind of like a straight dragon worshipping thing, that there's something else there, but you're not able to kind of like really pin it. And also I imagine you're a bit shook from seeing
The
It's like-
absolute
this
bloodbath.
dozen or so kobolds
Sneak
just
my way
fucking
in.
end each other.
Not exactly how I expected this journey to go, but
You continue on your merry way.
yeah.
Issue free.
Thank goodness.
You make your way to Northern Hold.
Yay!
Bye.
Alright. I'm in Northern Hold.
You're in Northern Hold. Dan.
Yes.
We start with you quite a couple of weeks back because you're a bit further away from Northern Hold than most people. Would you like to describe your guy?
Yeah, so you see a 3 foot 1 inch makes a difference. 40-pound rock gnome, dressed in a white gown, gold inlay on the robes, seemingly walking around hurried, but also not revered, but seems like he knows people that are revered. He's known to associate or known to be with people that are very powerful or have some high status.
So like an intern or?
Yeah, like an apprentice that is, to a well-known wizard or person. Quite tan in their appearance, which is quite a bit weird for a rock gnome. Like their skin has been kind of not so much altered, but has been changed in some way that you're not fully aware of. Probably they're not fully aware of. And quite talkative. Well, yeah.
Cool. So your master is dying. He's like the last of like the really old alchemists. the younger guys who are like kind of doing like some new exciting stuff, don't really want to take on an apprentice, but he's like wanting to pass on his legacy. He's like, you've kind of come around his deathbed, and he's like taken off his bracer, which is kind of this. It looks a little bit clockworky in the way, just being gnomish made, in the way that it's got like these kind of like little, almost like gears that run down there. But inlaid between each of the teeth of the gears is a little stone with a rune etched into it. And you know that when he casts magic, the runes like spin around and reorientate themselves, and then that helps him cast magic. He's like, "Cool, come closer, closer,
Yes.
closer.
I think I'm closer.
Why are you so close? Far too close. Cool. I'm about to shuffle off this mortal coil and go on to the next grand adventure. Death, I'm dying. I'm dying to. And, you know, you've been a pretty good hang while I've been here, and you've worked fairly well. Look, I don't have a lot to give you, but I wanted to give you this.
Really, sir?
Now, with this, there's something you need to understand. That contains all of my spells that I've put together over the course of my lifetime. And there is very one simple trick to access the power of that relic. And that power, and that knowledge is...
Sir? Sir?
Ooh, you're so close. Just give me a minute. I will let you know that when you turn those rune stones, the very simple thing that happens is...
Sir! I just like tap his forehead.
Give me a medicine check.
Medicine?
Yeah.
22.
Cool, he's dead.
Solid venture.
For the follow, whoever just joined the follow.
So
that's
you-
amazing. So
You now have this bracer that was from your old master.
Booty bum.
There we go.
Booty bum, thank you for the follow.
You now have this relic from your
Yeah.
old master.
So I put it on and...
You put it on and you feel, because he was like a bit bigger than you were. He wasn't a gnome. He was a halfling, which put him about like maybe about a foot taller than you.
Mhm.
But he had like this kind of crazy white hair and these big goggles. Always one perpetually broken, but it was always broken in another spot. So you're like, I've never actually seen him break one of the lenses on his goggles before, but the break is never the same. So he is replacing them at some point,
Yep.
and then they're breaking again. So he's giving you this. It resizes to fit like pretty fucking snugly on your own.
Yep.
Bit of time passes. You go to bed late one night, like after tinkering with this and trying to figure out. Actually, give me, I'll say some kind of. What kind of tinkering check would you like to make? As you like, do you want to do like an Arcana check? Would you like to do an investigation check?
Yeah, so I think I'll probably be doing an Arcana.
Mm-hmm.
Arcana or investigation would be fine.
Yep.
But
I'll say if you get over 20, I'll give you something sweet.
I've got Artificer's Law, so if I'm making a check with that, I get advantage.
Yes. This is what happens when you read your stats.
So that's a 6 or a 19. I'm going to take the 19.
Are you sure?
Yeah. And it's a 26.
Cool. As you're going through this, you like click them into place, and you're like, "Oh yeah, I think I'm gonna get this." It's like there's different runes, and they like interact with each other differently. So it's like when kind of like a cipher, like to put them together. And it's like as you cast magic, they'll like realign to cast a particular spell. You now know the shield spell.
Awesome.
Yep, you just get that one for free because you rolled. What was it, like a 26 or something? Yeah.
Yep.
That's what a 26 will get you. It will get you a new spell.
Can't wait to
You
all
go to
the
bed.
terrible emails.
You go to bed. One.
Okay.
As you're in there and you've been like playing with this, as you learn the shield spell, it like kind of zaps you and you like pass out,
Okay.
but you're like playing with it in bed late one night, so it's fine. You're in bed. You're fine.
He's quite used to being passed out by something he's done.
Yeah, it's just like bed, and you're like, this thing essentially tases you to sleep. When you go to sleep,
Yep.
you start to feel your heart beating faster, and you start having something that would be like almost akin to a lucid dream, but you don't have control of it, but you are very aware that you are in a dream.
Mm-hmm.
You see this small town nestled at the base of a mountain right near the ocean, and you see hanging heavy in the sky above it is a deep, deep crescent moon. The water's relatively still. As your vision pans down to see the reflection of the moon, the ripples start and the crescent moon starts to replicate itself over the top of itself until it resembles a flower. As it begins to resemble a flower, you see it starts to wilt and crumble, and as it does, it starts to form the shape of a bony hand. It degrades further and further, and as the ash and whatever living tissue was on this hand starts to peel away and float away into the air, you see they rise up and they start to take the place of the stars. As you kind of like meet this big starscape, you see the stars and the lights in the sky start to shift, and they start to form a bridge. As this bridge stretches away from you, you can see starting down the very far end of the bridge, the lights start to go out, and they start to come out in more and more rapid succession until this wall of darkness is cascading towards you. And when you wake up, all of your runes are spinning around your arm, and in your other hand, clutched in a dry sweat, you unfurl your hand and you are holding a piece of paper that says Northern Hold. You have no idea where this has come from. It is not your handwriting, and I know I'm going to make a character choice for you. You don't keep paper in your room.
Not much of a writer.
Not much of a writer. You're more.
Did he recognise the handwriting?
Give me either an investigation or a history check.
Either one, but let's go with history. Which is also Artificer's Law.
No, sir.
You've got history, AC, AL. Oh no,
Oh,
that's only
or Artificer's Law.
Yeah.
Because
But
it's a history check.
Yeah, but it's a different. Yeah.
Yeah.
1926.
Yeah. Fuck. Well, you're about to start rolling actually. I haven't rolled anything yet, so it could be me. You have seen this handwriting before
I was going to say.
in some of your master's old like workbooks that he's had and stuff. It is not his handwriting though.
Okay.
So it's like, you know, he has stuff that like he's inherited from other people and stuff. This is like someone's master, so it could have been like your master's master or your master's.
So I've seen the writing before, but
You've seen the writing before in your master's books. It is not his handwriting though.
okay.
Cool. With this note in hand and this ominous vision, what do you want to do?
I will equip myself for a journey to Northern Hall.
Terrific. You set off and you make your way there. You see like
Seeing
there's
you
this little
on your way.
on your way there, as you like start to get pretty close, you see like this really small river that seems like it's fed out of like a pretty low dip in the hill, but the water's red for some reason. You're not fully sure why. You ignore it and you keep going.
All right.
Introduce your character, please.
Yes, we're on early because we're doing a D&D special.
Be warned.
So far it's been fucking tight, real tight.
It's been solid.
I'm super sorry in advance. My name, Brother Sanguine's my name, and I am a cleric. Lovely to meet you, everybody. Welcome. I'm from Northern Hold. I'm a local, and I love to give people directions. Yeah, no, you're welcome in advance. Anyway, so I'm Brother Sanguine. I am about 5'10" human. I got red hair because I'm an orphan, as much of an orphan you can be. Nobody FedExed me to anyone, that's why I have the red hair. Got freckles from here to go. Anyway, I love to give people directions. No matter where they come from, I'm just like, hey, it's Brother Sunny, and I'm going to give you the greatest directions ever. When I was adopted as a child, and to give you too much information all of a sudden, but I used to stand in the street to give people directions, and anybody who tried to give me money, I deliberately declined. No. After you take these directions, I know you'll want to donate to the church. So I give people directions down alleyways, so that's the fastest way to get where they wanted to go. And without doubt, everyone, even the grumpy people who didn't want to give me any money to start off with, they would always give donations at the end, and I never knew why. But I just think it must be the goddess of Selyun donating and the kindness. One day a guard did come up with me and he said that I was an accomplice to a crime. But I don't really understand what he was talking about. Moral of the story is, they go down the alley, they give lots of money when they get to the end. It must be just such a good shortcut.
So you used to give people directions down dark alleyways
Yeah.
to help them.
Yeah, so I mean, that was the quickest
And
way
then
to get.
they would give heavy donations to your church.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. That was, and I needed that money because I, as an orphan, I didn't have much, and so the church gave me everything and they thought that I was a really great devotee. As I said, I was once accused of and something to do with crime. I was taken in one day by the guards. They heavily beat me, saying, "Who pays me?" And I was like, "The goddess Selyun. She gives me everything I need." And then they heavily beat me some more, and they said, "You know what you're doing is wrong." And I just smiled and said, "Do you need directions? Because I feel like there's some love lost in your heart, and I can help you find it in the twilight."
So shortly after, your very small, tight-knit church was run out of town.
Yeah, so after a while, the church was run out of town, but the guards did forgive me my sins, as I was quite literally oblivious to the crimes of the church. And now I now try to give directions down not dark alleyways where people get mugged.
You've found yourself, the guards release you into the care of the Storm Wardens, who is like the religious and academic order that's kind of found everywhere. So you're staying in the Maelstrom Temple, which is like across the way. You have like woken up, the sun's starting to peek out. You know that it's like, it's like the festival is like kind of kicking off today. So today's like, it's like a week-long festival or whatever. The first day is always a bit slower, but like, officially it is starting today.
It's the chance for me to be able to volunteer and help people set up and have a really great time.
Yeah, exactly right. So you've kind of found yourself in the care of the Storm Wardens after you had inadvertently been an accomplice to sending just so many people to get mugged down an alleyway. You've woken, you're still in your room at the Maelstrom Temple. Is there anything you'd like to do, or do you want to head down and maybe speak to one of the priests?
I guess the first thing I'd like to do as a follower of Selyun, I would like to wake up my morning and add another star to my little starscape that I have in my room that I'm claiming. So just another day, so another star rather than a line. And then I go down to one of the priests, and
Sick. You see the guy is kind of been taking the most care of you. You know his name to be Father Roku. He's kind of off out one end, so it's like you come down from like the different dormitories and stuff and into the main hall, and the main hall itself finishes with this huge archway that finishes in like an open air balcony that overlooks kind of the sea and the Ironstone Mountains. It gives you like a big probably like 270-degree view, like all the way around, all the way across the town, over Whitewater Keep, over the mountains, and then out to the sea. He is floating in the air with his legs crossed. This is nothing new to you. This is how he meditates. But you see he's like in a robe, and he's got his robe kind of hanging down, and he's facing out.
I'm sort of going to go up to him, but up to Father Roku, Brother Sonny is going to go up there. And he's going to sort of wait at the distance, and he's just going to kind of just tap.
Sonny, would you like to come? Sorry, got lost in meditation there. Would you like to come join me for meditation.
Father Roku,
Mhm.
I think I've already changed my accent. No, that's really frustrating. Rather sunny. Father Roku, today's the festival, right? And
That is correct.
and I've got a lot of cravings to, make better on, and so I'm just hoping to take this opportunity to guide people to maybe their market stalls to the best places.
Okay. Are you going to be partaking in the festival?
I mean, it would be an opportunity missed if I didn't. Roku, Father Roku, sorry.
Roku's fine. We like to keep it chill.
Yes, thank you, Roku. I mean, how do I help people? Where can I go? What do we need to do?
Well, just going there for starters, and just kind of like generally availing yourself to be helpful would be good.
Yes.
Or like if you want, you could participate in the actual festival and go and try and find them. Really.
Oh, well, I'll start with the being helpful part. And I mean, maybe I'll be helpful in helping find the lily because maybe they don't know the laws of this land. And yeah, I mean, I'm happy to go. I'll go. I'll follow your instructions. I'll go into town and I'll just have a sign that says I'm here to help, and we'll go from there. Is that a good idea?
Okay, let's get you some markers and poster board. And you see, like, he's like sitting with his legs crossed, but like the way he gets down is like it looks like he was sitting on something solid. So he like puts one leg down and then like climbs off. There's nothing there, but he like climbs off it, and he turns around and he sees he's got an open robe, fully nude underneath. He's like,
make the most serious eye contact and try not to. And every time, Brother Sonny, every time this looks down good.
as he turns around, you hear it like slap against one of his legs. All right, poster board. What colours were we thinking? Purple. Keep it on theme.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you, Father Roku. Yes, I would like the Sonny. I would love to have some purple and big yellow. Hello, I'm helpful.
You've got to remember to trace it first, though. You don't want to like start with the purple, because then if you fuck it up, there's no going back. If you do it in grey lead first, then you can just rub it out. If you realize that the letters are like too big.
That would be lovely. Yes, right. I can start with grey lead and I'll do it on. Do we have purple?
Why do you keep looking at the roof?
I'm just lost. I don't know.
You've been here for like months.
But do you know where the paper is? I don't know where the paper is.
Yeah, right, let's go. He like walks up and you hear it like.
And I pitter patter behind him. I get some pacer.
Pitter patter with your feet the whole time too.
Maybe I'll try to.
It's like he gets there a little bit faster than you because he's like he's quick as a wind because he's
no resistance.
Yeah, absolutely no resistance. But he like gets there when you walk in. He's like bending over to get something out of a bottom shelf, and you just all of it. The whole thing.
Packed lunch.
It's like, oh god.
So yeah, no. I guess I will make my poster says hello, and then under that, on a line, I'm helpful, and that's all I'm gonna write. And I'm gonna assume that people will probably read that sign, assuming my name is helpful, but I'm oblivious to the comment of.
Firstly, what I'm going to need before you head off into town with your sign is I'm going to need a sleight of hand check.
Yep. Ooh, non-natural 20.
Oh, there we go. This fucking sign looks good. Right, this fucking just like how this has gone so far, fucking tight. So yeah, you make this like awesome sign. I'm gonna say you'll get advantage on persuasion checks for like this sign.
Yeah.
With like what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
You get these things. You've made this snazzy little sign.
Yeah, it's the equivalent of a free hug sign. I feel.
Yeah,
that's what it's the equivalent of.
Before you go, have you said your morning prayers?
Oh, sorry, Father Roku.
Ooh, naughty! As he like lifts off the ground and kind of like floats back into his thing, and you see him get back to his spot, and then he like climbs back up on the thing that isn't there, and then just like.
To travel slow is where to go. If you hurry, you'll be sorry. And then I show off with my poster.
Give me a religion check as you like bow your head in this ancient and profound prayer.
13 plus 1 for a total of 14.
Religion.
Yeah.
You're a cleric and you didn't have proficiency in religion.
No, I took proficiency in religion, but I have a -1 for intelligence. So,
Hey, that does fit with his character.
Pretty well. They're like, not great with your god. You get like this quick vision of your god who kind of looks like it's like a kind of liminal space that they occupy, but they themselves look like a galaxy.
Yeah,
they're like a big galaxy person. So if you've seen the new Thor, you know exactly what I'm talking about. They look at that, and you get this quick vision of your god just going, oh shit! just like you kind of snap back to it, you're like, okay, and then you head off. You see, it's like what they were railing a line with. They were railing a line of stars. It's like what they were snorting.
Yes. Yeah. Cool. And
Whoa.
just kind of have a moment. Yes. No. Wasn't supposed to see that. Just like Father Roku, it's open for everyone.
After seeing this thing, you feel a bit more like burgeoned with power from your god, and so your god's being like, "Hey, just be cool." You Lilith, after seeing these kobolds kind of like murder each other in Coblad, you're like, okay, maybe this will be like a bit more intense than I expected. And you, after you've had this like harrowing vision of like flowers turning into dead hands and like a wall of darkness coming at you, all of you guys feel like a little bit more prepared to deal with whatever it is you're about to deal with. All of you level up.
Whoa! That was so fast. Thank the Lord. Are we doing your way of rolling?
Yeah, so the way you work your new health out, so you roll 2, so you'll be rolling 2d8 and you take the higher one.
So take, yep.
Yep, so you roll 2d6 and take the higher.
5.
5 plus your con is how much health you get. 2, so roll 2d8.
That's a D10.
Yeah.
Diamond.
So
yeah.
I'm on 15 health.
3.
I'll say on doubles, reroll 1.
8.
Yes, nice.
6. So 8 plus your constitution modifier, so you get another 9 health. Sweet. Awesome. So you guys make your way into town, and as you get there, it's kind of like you all find your way to the town centre. Like that's where the stream of people are going. That's where the most stalls have already been set up because like the festival hasn't really taken over the town just yet. But as you get there, you see on the main stage that there is, you would recognise them as Lord Elias Seabreaker is up there. He's like the noble of the town. And Crancy Omen and a few other members of the council. So Crancy Omen is the head of the council.
Crancy Omen. How would you spell Omen?
Omen like it's spelled.
O-E-N. Cool. Crancy Omen is head of the council. Thank you.
Head of the council, and there's like 2 or 3 others who are there that I'll let you know they're not important. So, so you see they get up there. Elias says a few words. He's like, right. So it's always an honor to be able to host the Festival of the Moon Lily here in Northern Hold. Now I know some people have been a bit worried about the recent kobold attacks. We just want you to know we are very aware of it. We've swept through some of the lower forests to make sure that the kobolds stay on the far outside of town. And if needed, we will make some other provisions to make sure that everyone remains safe and that everything runs smoothly. But we always need to start the way that we do with my head of my council, who is also a descendant of the people who first performed the ritual of lights. Crancy Ormond. He hands her over. So Crancy comes up, takes the stage, and she's got this huge black cauldron. Everyone give me a perception check. Perception or investigation check. As you like have a gander at this cauldron.
Perception or investigation?
Yeah, your choice.
16.
Or an arcana if you really want.
20.
So 20, 16, 12. Fucking huge cauldron. You would know a little bit about this already, although because you've probably seen it a few times, you're not like paying that much attention. It's like one of those things where it's like when you come into something new, like if you had been seeing it all the time when you were a kid, you just feel like, oh yeah, that's the cauldron, and you don't look at it that much. You know that this is what is a very important part for the festival, for the actual ritual of lights, which is the actual ritual that takes place on the last night. This is what they like make the moon lily oil in to like anoint the lanterns. You see on there that there are some reliefs in like around the outside.
Yep.
You see that it's like as you like look around from like left to right, kind of like following it the way that you would read. It goes through with like someone who like comes in, they like in the next little scene, it's like they're looking very unwell and very skeletal. In the next thing, like they're dead. Then it's like someone rising kind of out of the grave, although it doesn't look like a zombie rising out of the ground. It's like they're rising, and then you see they like move off across a bridge into the afterlife. That's like what's kind of like cut in or like molded around the outside. So it like goes all the way around, but it looks like it repeats itself a few times. So that
So we're all in that same room?
Oh, this is like outside. This is just a big cauldron that's on the main stage. And just you have to, I'll say you have to be a bit close, and you're like, oh, that's fucking interesting. Oh,
Yeah,
cool.
and he just starts mumbling to himself and just
I'm
like,
way back in like the alley, just like.
and like just circling it and then you investigate, just looking around it. Just
Yeah, so they have it there. It's like it's open for
Yeah.
Outside.
For, like, one,
There's this
two.
fully
He like has no knowledge that you're even there. He's
Oh,
just
yes.
like he's just absolutely focused on the cauldron and nods.
Oh, there's like a lot of people there. You guys are in like a bit of a crowd.
Yeah.
Clancy comes up and let me see if I can do the accent properly. Like a southern accent. No, that's Irish. Fuck.
You got it from him.
Y'all. There we go. Comes up and like, so as y'all know, this festival takes place every year, and it is my pleasure and has been the pleasure of my family to host and make the moon lily oil that we use to anoint our lanterns for the ritual of lights for the festival of the moon lily. As with everything, I will start by retelling the tale of my ancestors and the first ritual of lights. So she goes through and she explains that it was like, particularly before the Kingdom of the Stormlands, there used to be quite a few dragons in the area, which meant having like organized civilizations was pretty tough because they'd like come in and just kind of burn towns, get money. So in that though, it made weirdly for kind of like a safe harbor for people who wanted to practice black magic on their own. So necromancers would come in, they'd carve out, you know, a little spot in the mountains and do whatever they were doing, and they would be left relatively alone. It's also a large part of the reason why so many kobolds are found in the area, because there are still like, you know, dilapidated and dead like dragon dens and stuff like that, and kobolds revere dragons as gods. So there was a necromancer, and it was about the time that the dragons were like dying out of old age and more armies had come through, and some of like the greater dragons and the greater worms had like died, that civilizations were able to like start kind of propping up. A necromancer by the name of, just give me a sec, by the name of, I did have this written down.
While you're looking at that, Holly is still recovering, so she is not joining us at the minute.
And the kids are upstairs, so once they disappear, maybe.
And while you also look that up, as I've heard this story, as Brother Sonny has heard this story many a time, in his fear of falling asleep and not being helpful, he's going to cast Vigil and Blessing on himself, which means next time we have to roll initiative, I'll roll with advantage.
Fuck yeah.
Just
That's the tighter shit.
Would you like me to make my portent rolls as well?
Pardon?
Portent.
Oh, I also forgot to tell you, your ability is something for your ability. So he's a second level divination wizard. So he gets portent rolls, so he gets to roll 2, and then you can swap other people's rolls. Your bracer allows you to roll 3 dice and choose 2.
Ooh, nice.
So it's like you still only get 2 portent rolls, but you roll 3 dice and then you choose from there.
Okay. So that's a 3, a 6, and an 8. So I'm gonna take the 3 and the 6.
Yeah, cool. He can either give them to you, if he rolls really well, he can give them to you or himself. Or if they're shit rolls, he can give them to enemies. So
He
they
sees the
roll
future
more.
and tells them, actually, it didn't happen like that.
Oh.
I have to do it before they roll.
Yeah.
No.
Portent, yep, before a roll is made.
Oh. Okay.
I'll say it's like if I'm doing it quickly and I'm rolling, it just needs to be before I've declared what it is.
Yeah.
So tell the story of this necromancer coming down, bewitching someone from the town. They come up, and then essentially what they did, because they were looking for like, immortality, essentially, did kind of like a modified lich thing, where like a lich would normally separate their soul from their body, and they store their soul in a phylactery. They separated the soul of the person, and then used that person as an anchor to the material plane. So when they die, they come back. The townspeople raised arms against the necromancer, came, defeated their mortal form, and then so they couldn't come back, they performed the first ritual of lights to help the person who was being used as the anchor find their way through the void to the afterlife. And then it's become like, a yearly ritual that happens.
What did you say the name was? Sorry, I got distracted by the whatever.
For the person's name?
Thanks, Bones.
The necromancer's name was Nox. So just NOX.
And the person was who, sorry?
Pardon?
You said, did you tell us the human too?
I do not tell you the name.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, sorry. I can tell you the human's name. Fuck, I have this written down. Their last name is Omen.
Oh, so they
So the person who was taken,
Yeah.
their last name is Omen.
Yeah, okay.
Crancy Omen is their descendant, and that's
Oh,
kind of
yeah.
like, yeah.
Thank
So it was like their family is the one who kind of like raised the army, came through, figured out how to do the ritual of lights to help that person kind of pass through to the afterlife and destroy the link between the necromancer and the material plane.
Yeah.
So that all goes ahead. As you see, they like Crancy comes to the end and she's like, and it was a southern accent. There we go. And as we all know, the Dawn Warden is a position of honor that is given to the person who can supply us with the moon lily that we need to be able to perform the ritual of lights. Can I please have last year's Dawn Warden come up? They come up and they pull out this like radiant gold sword and then hand it over to Crancy. And Crancy like takes it so gingerly by like the tip of the hilt and then puts it over the cauldron and lets it go, and it just suspends in the air, turning around itself. And she's like, the sun sword has long been a relic of this town that is bestowed upon the Dawn Warden for the following year. Its radiant powers will show us that there is the brightest light in the darkest of darks. There's like a few more kind of like ceremonial speeches and stuff, and they're like, okay. They move through, a bunch of people like clear out. Do you want to give me like a persuasion check with advantage for your son? And we'll just see what happens.
sick. I was gonna say that I'm gonna start moving around and being like, hey,
Oh, no.
sorry, need help? Do you need help? Oh, that's not great. There we go. They're starting to come. Persuasion, did you say? There we go.
It's a 9 plus
9 plus. Oh, I'm persuasive. 12.
a full 12.
A full stacked 12.
You see this woman comes up and she's like
guidance on myself.
the most tired looking woman you've ever seen. Like she's like fucking exhausted. She's got like a little baby with her and she's got this kid. He's like, and he's looking up at you and she's like, sorry, I understand that you're probably busy and like you're looking to help out. I just need like 10 minutes.
Yes.
Can we just like
Where would you like
the
to
first,
guide you?
just like the first act's about to come on. It's children's entertainment. Can you just?
Do you want me to hold
Can
me?
you just? No. I'll tell you this one. I've got to like feed him.
Okay.
No, I just need you to watch Declan, and Declan's like, I want to see the magician.
Wait. Brother, Singrid.
Are you taking me to see the magician?
Yes, Declan. Hi, Sonny. I'm Sonny. Sanguine. You can call me brother. Brother Sanguine. Sonny. Yes,
Brother, take me to see the magician.
Yeah, well, you know what? Let's go. Do you know where the magician is?
Yeah, it's over there in the stage.
You lead the way, and I will stand as your omnipotent bodyguard.
You turn around, the mum's already gone.
You just became a dad.
This kid,
At the moment where he goes, let's adopt this kid.
this kid goes over and just like walks up to the stage, and you guys see they're like pulled out like this little cart and stuff, and there's this magician up there, And he's like kind of getting set up, and you guys see the banner, the magnificent Zot and Pookie.
Oh my god!
He gets out there and he starts doing like some country. Let's see how it goes. That's my first roll. Yeah, pretty good. Dude, like a natural 15. You see he's like doing well and he's like doing some stuff and the kids are like pretty excited. Declan's been a turd and he's like, where's Pookie? I want to see Pookie. Get Pookie. Get. You see he's pushing a crayon deeper in his room. I want to see Pookie. And he like grabs up with his like goopy hand and like grabs it. He's like, make him get Pookie.
What, Declan? If I can be helpful, no, that's not my voice. It's Brother Sanguine. If I can be helpful, I'd love that opportunity. So, what was the name of someone in Tukey?
Pookie. The rabbit's name is Pookie. You don't even know.
No, I'm here to help you.
Yeah, make Zod get Pookie.
Yes. All right. So I'm going to cast guidance on the on the performer.
On Zod.
On Zod.
You see Zod looks at you and he's like, thank you. It's been such a long day, and honestly, if this doesn't go smoothly for me, it's like, that's it, man. That's absolutely it.
Zap him with some guidance, as I'm like, Declan, Declan,
But
this is your opportunity.
are you sure that I have to get Pookie? It's not feeling well.
Sure.
What are you guys doing?
I'm kind of just like standing, like
The sun sword's still there, like hovering over the thing. So it's like that's the one
Any
side.
chance I can get Pookie? Like, would you like me to get Pookie out?
Oh god, no. No. Those gloves aren't thick enough.
Is it like a stage, like a central stage where everyone's kind of around?
Yeah, it's like this stage that's set off to like one side of the town square.
Yeah.
And it's like you have the performance side and then you have like the announcements side. Right near the announcement side is the big cauldron with like the sun sword kind of suspended and slowly like rotating.
Okay, so I'm kind of like just walking around, looking at the cauldron. Haven't noticed really any crowd or anyone that's kind of in the way who's just like scuffling between legs and like.
Could I
Mhm.
decide to make a scene so that lots of people come and watch this guy, so he has the chance to make it? So I
fucking
whack
absolutely.
my basic.
He like you see him, he does a trick where he like lights a piece of paper on fire and he's like, oh, bonsoir! And then it's like he's holding flowers, but you can tell he's like totally burned his fingers.
Yeah. Well, I guess I'm going to just start smacking on my shoe. My voice is really frustrating me now.
You can
Ladies,
edit it if you want.
ladies and gentlemen, let's take this opportunity to get everybody together to see the wonderful Tukey. Let's put our hands together.
Pookie.
Put our hands
Oh
together.
god, don't fuck up his name. He hates it when you fuck up his name.
Put your hands together, everybody. Start. Let's chant for Pookie. Pookie. Pookie.
Yeah, give me a performance.
Shit.
I'm like way in the back just watching this guy make a statement.
Oh, 16, 19.
Oh yeah, you see the kid like, yeah, he goes in Pookie. Like a few other people come and you see it's like more people keep dropping off their kids and then leaving. Because they like you get the vibe that they assume you're some kind of daycare.
Sorry, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not.
You
Okay.
turn around, there's a little girl next to you. She's like,
Oh God, what's your name?
I'm hungry.
Sunny. My name is.
Are you wearing like a helmet or something?
Not
You see
really.
Declan offers her a crayon. He's like, would you like a crayon? She's like, yeah, thanks.
Oh, yeah.
Fucking straight up there.
They're meant to be.
It's just-
Alright, I'm gonna sneak up behind. So as
Somebody
I
help
walk
me.
around,
Yeah.
I'm gonna like touch the back of his. Are you wearing plate armor or?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm wearing specifically scale mail and I have
Scale?
a shield on my back.
Alright, I'm gonna like just skim my hand along because what you're like 6 foot or something.
I'm 5'10", but
Oh
yeah.
yeah. Skim my hand along like the.
You
back
assume
of
it's
it
another child.
and cast a light on his scale mail.
You start glowing. You still see this sign. It's like hello. I'm helpful. I'm
I just
helpful.
walk off. I
Oh,
just
whatever.
continue walking.
Yeah, it's like you continue walking around and you see like Zot in like you've never seen such a look of like raw panic as like this crowd that has started to develop around you of like kids on their own are like now there and he's like, oh god, and you see he's like he takes off his top hat and he is fucking like trembling.
And I blend in with the kids. Like I'm shorter than most of the kids, so I'm just like blending through the crowd.
Oh yeah, it's like you push your
So far away.
you're fucking really far away. Like, what's happening? You see, he goes,
All right.
okay,
Cool. I'm gonna get crazy.
you've all
No, you
Yes, he like looks at you, he shoots you just a terrifying.
Alright, if he's terrified, I'm going to use my Channel Divinity, which is a once a day ability,
Oh yeah.
to end one effect on a person, causing them to be frightened. So I'm just ending his fear.
Okay. You like look and you're like throwing. It's like you like tap your base on the ground and there's like this little like aura of just like twilight, calm, like slipping into night, like you know the things that bump in the night haven't come out yet, or the things that stalk during the day have already gone to bed. Just like that peaceful twilight tranquility kind of comes out, and you look like a little radiant star as you're glowing away. And you see he goes, well, it couldn't get much worse. And then he like puts his hand in, and you see he like recoils his hand back. And he's like, "Oh, you little fuck!" Drops his hat, and what you see is just like you see like into his top hat, but it doesn't look like it has an end to it. And then everyone's like still waiting to see what happens. And then this fucking Snow White little bunny, you see coming a little closer, and then it just fucking explodes out of the hat, launching, latches onto Declan, and starts biting the absolute shit out of him. Go straight.
Yeah. Oh, no.
That was both of my elbows.
Thank you.
So I'm gonna get up. You.
Yeah, you guys need to fucking help me. Just what? Like, you just sitting here just going, that's a shit show.
Sorry, my guy. You guys see Pookie fucking jumps out of this. Yeah, that's gonna hit.
Do I get? Oh yeah, it's a surprise round.
This is right around.
Yep.
Oh, shit.
Cool. You see this fucking rabbit jumps out, lands on Declan, and he's like, Pookie! And then Pookie just latches in and fucking rips this kid's jugular out. Declan hits the fucking deck, and then Pookie looks up at the little girl who just put a crayon up her nose. Can everyone please roll initiative?
I get to roll with advantage.
You can roll with advantage at least, yeah.
We are going to take a quick break while I set up the battle map.
Holy Mary, mother of everything that's
How do I pause
holy.
this?
You go to BRB.
BRB.